gives me a great pleasure to welcome our next speaker today. Joining Tetra Pak in 1991, he carries a wealth of knowledge and experience in senior positions in general management across the world. Based now at Tetra Pak International in Lausanne, please put your hands together, Executive Vice President, Packaging Solutions and Commercial Operations at Tetra Pak, that is Mr. Lars Holmqvist.
Thank you very much. It is a great privilege for me to be here and to address all of you today in the fantastically interesting subject of the future and the transformation of the food and beverage industry. And it is fascinating for me to sit through this morning and listen to that we are so aligned between the food and beverage experts in the industry about the opportunities and the challenges that we are facing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the changing rules of the game for food and beverage industry. And I think if there's one thing that we can all agree on is that it's impossible to actually predict the future. But what I think we can agree on is that today, now, this very moment is really the slowest pace of change that we will ever experience in our lives. So we think that things are changing very fast, and they are, and they have been. Just think about your mobile phone, what you are doing with your mobile phone today, and what you were doing 5 or 10 years ago. Imagine telling a friend some 10 years ago that you would be making pictures and posting those pictures on the web for the whole world to see. Or imagine that you would stay in a stranger's apartment instead of a hotel, and you would do all that booking on your phone. Or that you would never buy another album in your whole life, or that you would watch your taxi arrive on your phone. Imagine that just 10 years ago. And where are we today? This is what we do every day with our phones. So a lot is changing, but we can also see some things accelerating. And look, as I said, it's almost impossible to predict the future, but we can see some things. And that is, of course, that computers reach the same level of processing power as the human brain. And that is absolutely fascinating. The changes that are happening in computing, in quantum computing. Percentage of cars that will be connected is soon going to reach 90%. 90% of all the cars in the world are going to be connected to the internet. Virtual reality is exploding, and it will become very soon larger than the TV industry, over 100 billion prediction. Accuracy rate of computing is going to surpass soon that of a doctor's predicting, for instance, diagnosing lung cancer. This is going to revolutionize also the medical industry. And just another, I think, fascinating fact is that 3D printing is changing not only the manufacturing industry, but many industries around the world. And, you know, it took only 24 hours for a Chinese company, Winsun, to 3D print 10 houses. That's already happening, and you can imagine where these kind of trends will take us. So for the food and beverage industry, maybe these facts are not directly applicable, but certainly we will be affected by these macro trends. And if you look at specifically for the food and beverage industry, the rules will be very different. I think we heard the panel address this, and every speaker has talked about many rapid changes in the industry. The way we see it is that today litter and waste is already there, and it will remain a factor for the food and beverage industry for many years to come. Online groceries are emerging, Industry 4, we all know about this, but looking at the future, and I think the previous speaker talked about this, that technology is an enabler for food formulations. The way that food is produced, as we just saw in the examples of meat, are going to be changed completely. And that also is driven by the food waste and food scarcity that we see. And climate change is something that we talk about today, but this is going to be in the minds of consumer when they purchase products in the future. It's not going to just be waste or other areas of sustainability. Climate change will be a factor. We also heard examples of hyper-customization. Consumers are going to demand that products are created for them, individualized for them in the future. So I think this just summarizes some of the things that you all heard this morning. So looking at all these industry-wide trends, we took a broad look at it and also long-term, and we identified 12 different lenses that we looked at all the trends that may affect food and beverage industry moving forward. And we came up with 4 that we believe are key disruptors for our industry. The first one is, of course, technology and digital. And digital is transforming everything that we do. There will be opportunities, there will be a lot of challenges, but we need to develop our food and beverage industry to address the opportunities that we see from digital platforms and ecosystems that are inevitably going to be developed as an enabler for us to drive the digital platform forward. Channel and value chain transformation, or in fact, we are not even talking about value chains any longer, we are talking about value webs or omni-channel, meaning that there's not a sequential chain any longer. Everyone is in contact with the consumer, and it's more of a value web that we see around us. Sustainability, we heard a lot about sustainability this morning, and of course, a broader and deeper sustainability agenda. It is becoming absolutely essential for consumers' purchasing decisions. And being in the packaging industry, I can tell you we understand not only our obligation to making sure that we provide sustainable packaging in the future, we also believe that this is a key differentiator for the food and beverage industry, to be in the forefront of sustainability. I'll get back to that. And last but not least, new pathways to health and nutrition. There's going to be different types of not only how we produce food and beverages, but also preferences, as we saw in the case of plant-based. So that is also affecting the beverage industry that I represent. So specifically for the food and beverage industry, I'll give some examples of what 2030 actually would look like. We believe that 90% of packages will have a unique and active digital identity. 90% of all packages will actually be unique with an identity that can be scanned and, personalized and used by the user. More than 75% of all food and beverage consumption will be running on a digital platform. More than 20% of all foods worldwide will be bought online. That may not sound like big, but I think we realize the transformation that will bring. And of course, an opportunity related to that is the huge opportunity for drones and unmanned delivery vehicles, which will probably reach more than 100 billion in the next decade. CO2 emissions and sustainability. More than 90% of packages are fully recyclable or made from recycled content material in 2030. More than 75% of packaging waste will be recycled. We also see, as I mentioned, a change in the beverage preferences. So there's going to be a 5-doubling of plant-based products that will partially replace traditional categories like dairy products. There will be at least a doubling of the packaged water, such as what I'm holding in my hand right now. And more new categories will be created that we don't even know of today. So I'm going to zoom in on 2 of the most transformational trends that we see moving forward. The first one is on opportunities from digital science and the technological advances that we see. And the other one is the broader, deeper sustainability agenda and how that impacts consumer decisions. Let's first look at digital. You all know, and we've talked a lot about it already today, that there are new technologies that are emerging. Quantum computing, big data, advanced analytics. Internet of Things is in our daily lives. A couple of years ago, we talked about this as a trend. Today, we cannot live without Internet of Things. Artificial intelligence is something that has been talked about for many years. It will have a huge impact moving forward. Machine learning, blockchain, virtual reality and augmented reality, I already mentioned. So these are some of the things that we really see is going to impact not only the packaging, but the food and beverage industry. Now, the package of the future may look a little bit similar to a package of today, but it will be having a completely different role in the value web, in the omni-channel, and to the consumer. It will be a unique information carrier. So consumers will demand that their product is unique to them, that it carries unique information that they are after, not only about the ingredient, but of course where the product was sourced, which cow the milk came from, or which orange or bean the product was created from. It's also going to be increasingly an entertainment platform, an ability, an enabler by being a unique, let's say, coded product for a brand owner and a consumer to engage in terms of entertainment. That can be anything from gaming to promotions to, cooking instructions, whatever, right? So it's already happening, and we see that this is going to be the norm in the future. It's going to be a green guide. It's going to not only talk about the content of the product or where it was produced or where the package was produced, but it's also going to talk about exactly the carbon footprint that this unique package with the content has. And that, as I said, is an important purchasing decision for consumers in the future. And of course, it is a food safety device. And already today, a carton is a fantastic, let's say, food safety advice. An ambient carton preserves the food safety and is tamper evident, but in the future, it's going to be even more critical that it is an enabler for food safety. Moving to sustainability and the broader and deeper sustainability agenda, we believe, and I think we talked about it this morning as well, that purpose will be before product. What do we mean with that? It means that brands are not just trusted. Brands, because they are big and well known, are not trusted. It's extremely important that consumers understand what the brand stands for. And again, many branded consumer products or industrial products are already today understanding that. They're putting sustainability, which is going to be one of the most critical things for consumers to choose a brand. They're putting that in the forefront, even before the products that they display. Looking at some of the websites that you see on your screen, you can see that the opening page of these branded players is indeed addressing sustainability. So sustainability is absolutely key in creating the purpose of the brand and will be the main purchasing decision for many consumers moving forward. Now, zooming in a little bit more on sustainability, what does that actually mean? We talk a lot about waste these days. We talk a lot about climate change, but it's not either or in isolation. It is both together. Climate change will be the norm. Consumers will understand exactly how their behavior and their purchases actually impact climate change. And we in the food and beverage industry need to be there to explain to them and obviously take our responsibility. We also need to make sure that the circular economy is supported by our products. We can no longer look at only linear products. It is going to be reusable, recyclable that is going to make it. Otherwise, it's not going to be accepted, in fact, by the consumer moving forward. So low carbon circular economy is the future. It's not either or, it's both. Carbon footprint is, of course, the main impact that products, food and beverage products, has on the climate change. So carbon footprint, having low carbon footprint is absolutely key. Of course, also having a product that can be recycled, can be reused is also key. And how we are using the resources, the scarcity of resources and making sure that most of the raw materials that are used are coming from renewable resources. It's going to be the norm, not just a alternative. Now, representing the package industry and working in the package industry, of course, sustainability is very close to my heart. And I can say that the package that I'm holding in my hand may look similar in the future, but it will be completely different. The carton package of the future will be 100% recyclable, meaning that you can recycle it together with used cardboard or newspapers. Basically, it will go in the same stream because we will be replacing all parts of the package with not only renewable but also fiber-based packaging in order to make sure that fiber-based barrier so that it will be able to, for a consumer, basically to throw it away with the cardboard. So it will be fully renewable. It will be also recycled material content inside, and it will all fit. Not only fit, but it will be regarded as the best option for the low carbon circular economy, and not compromising on food safety, of course. Now, I said in the beginning that it's impossible to predict the future, and I really believe so, but I hope that I've given a little bit of insight into how the future may look like and what are the key drivers and the key, let's say, transformations that are happening in the future. It is impossible to know because speed is so fast and accelerating. So the best way is really to predict the future is to create it. You know, let's not just predict, let's create it. And I really believe that this is a platform here with all the industry players working together. We truly believe that we can do it together. Thank you very much.